There are so many questions about this swine flu outbreak, and so this afternoon I spoke with our medical editor, Dr. Tim Johnson, and with Dr. Julie Gerberding, the former head of the Centers for Disease Control, who is now an ABC contributor. Dr. Gerberding, we heard from the Mexican health authorities today that the first case apparently was a 4-year-old in Veracruz who'd had contact with pigs and with swine. How important is it in a case like this to find ground zero?
I think it's critically important. We need to understand the source of the virus so that we can make some predictions about its biological behavior. It doesn't surprise me to hear that they were able to find the pig connection, but often that isn't the case, and then we just have to go on our best hypothesis, which lends even more cloud to the situation.
Tim, we've heard in the last couple of days the word pandemic thrown around, and I'm not sure many of us know what it means.
Well, if you look at the World Health Organization definitions, it's very ambiguous. They base it on the extent, that is the geographical extent of the disease, and whether or not it's being easily transmitted from humans to humans. They are now updating it to so-called level 4, but that is not a pandemic. That is not a full pandemic, and certainly in this country, it would not be reaching that level.
And Dr. Gerberding, can you expect this as over time to get more virulent?
You can't say. That's the problem. We don't really understand why we're seeing different things in Mexico than has been reported here in the United States, at least early on. There's going to be a lot of difficulty in looking into the crystal ball until we really understand more about how transmissible this is.
Well, you point to an interesting phenomenon. There are many deaths in Mexico, and yet here the cases have been treated and have proven to be relatively benign. Why the difference? Do we know?
Right now, you can only hypothesize. One explanation might be that in Mexico, only the sickest patients have come to medical attention, at least early on in the course of the outbreak, and that there are actually many, many more milder cases that haven't been counted yet.
Tim, you wouldn't be surprised if we saw more serious illness?
Not at all. The virus can mutate easily. It can get much more serious, but it could also be even more mild. I mean, it's that unpredictable. So I agree with Julie. We have no idea what's going to happen over the next weeks or months.
And we have been told, Tim, that this is responsive to some drugs. So why so worried?
These drugs do not kill the virus. They help prevent its replication and therefore help reduce the symptoms, but they have to be taken within the first 48 hours. So people have to recognize they've got a serious illness, get to a doctor or an emergency room, and start treatment early on. But people shouldn't go out and try to buy Tamiflu or Relenza from their drugstore somehow and start taking it as a preventive measure. That would be totally foolish. It would help build resistance. It wouldn't do any good. We need to reserve the stockpiles we have for actual cases and actual areas of outbreak.